I know, right? I mean, I have to say, Karen Dupiche, our wonderful, one of our wonderful makeup artists, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on, and she was like, Jesus is coming.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in like 100 years, for the first time.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa?
Before we dive in, let us know where you are watching from, and subscribe us please, and stay till the end. The audience was left in shock, and the internet quickly caught on. Clips of the moment spread across social media like wildfire. Memes flooded Twitter and TikTok, with people mocking Sunny's reaction.
Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter.
But this controversy only made things worse. Advertisers began to rethink their association with the show, and ABC executives were thrown into a frenzy trying to control the damage. On Gutfeld's show, the panel continued roasting Sunny. "This is karma," one panelist said. "She spent years weaponizing history against people, and now she's the one with a past she can't escape." All these events happening at once would make one believe that either climate change is real or that something bigger is coming. But earthquakes aren't influenced by climate change. They occur underground due to tectonic activity. And the eclipse? Scientists predicted this one decades ago. Eclipses happen at regular intervals and can be accurately forecasted. The View panel then launched into their favorite talking points: identity politics and historical grievances. Sunny Hostin, never one to miss an opportunity to remind America of its past sins, doubled down on rhetoric about systemic racism. She passionately argued about holding people accountable for their ancestors' actions and made broad claims about privilege. But then, things...
In many, many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe, you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, either climate change exists or something is really going on.
Returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't.
It happens, and the eclipse. They've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Knowing how an eclipse works. Joy Behar, usually the one making bizarre claims, surprisingly fact-checked Sunny. She explained the science behind eclipses and earthquakes, making Sunny look even more ridiculous. Gutfeld continued his roast, pointing out how hypocritical The View's panelists are. They preach about facts but rarely check their own statements before going on air. Then came the knockout punch. Gutfeld reminded the audience of a shocking revelation about Sunny Hostin's ancestry. Sunny Hostin appeared on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show that explores celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune pushing narratives about white privilege and systemic racism. But when her family history was revealed, the audience was left stunned. Sunny discovered that she is a descendant of European slave owners. Her reaction? She then tried to brush it off, saying, "I guess it's just a fact of life that this is how some people made their living on the backs of others." Gutfeld wasted no time highlighting the hypocrisy. She built her career on shaming others for their past, but when faced with her own, she suddenly wants to move on. The View panel was visibly uncomfortable. Even Joy Behar, who usually backs up Sunny, seemed uneasy. Whoopi Goldberg was uncharacteristically speechless. The View had walked straight into a disaster of their own making, and Gutfeld was there to make sure no one forgot it. Behind the scenes, ABC executives were panicking. The View had been facing backlash for years, but this time it felt different. This controversy wasn't just about one dumb comment, it exposed a deeper problem with the show. The network scrambled to contain the fallout. Insiders reported that emergency meetings were being held to discuss how to move forward. Advertisers, wary of being associated with yet another scandal, were considering pulling their sponsorships. But Sunny Hostin wasn't about to back down. Instead of apologizing or acknowledging her hypocrisy, she doubled down on her rhetoric. She insisted that her ancestry didn't change the fact that systemic racism existed, but the damage was already done. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld was celebrating. His late-night show saw a massive boost in viewership as fans tuned in to watch his takedown of The View. He didn't just win the argument, he won the entire news cycle. With The View scrambling and ABC struggling to keep things together, the big question remained: what happens next? Would ABC finally pull the plug on The View? Would Sunny be forced out? Would Whoopi, already a magnet for controversy, be the next to go? This wasn't the first time The View had found itself in hot water. Over the years, the show had built a reputation for shutting down opposing viewpoints and smearing conservative figures. But, as Gutfeld pointed out, this time, the controversy struck at the heart of the show's credibility. Whoopi Goldberg had previously faced backlash for her tone-deaf Holocaust remarks. The show had been sued for defamation after making false claims about Elon Musk. Even Carrie Underwood had taken legal action after The View spread misinformation about her. One by one, these scandals chipped away at the show's reputation. And now, with Sunny Hostin's hypocrisy exposed for all to see, the final blow might have been delivered. Will ABC finally cut their losses and cancel the show? Will Sunny be forced to issue a public apology? Or will The View continue to push the same tired narratives, hoping the controversy will eventually fade? One thing is for sure: this isn't going away anytime soon. In the days following the revelation of Sunny Hostin's ancestry and the public humiliation that ensued, The View's producers were in full damage control mode. Internal sources leaked that frantic meetings were being held with ABC executives desperately trying to figure out how to salvage the show's credibility. ABC had long tolerated The View's controversies, but this one was different. This wasn't a simple gaffe that could be swept under the rug. It was a direct hit to the show's foundation. For years, the panelists had built their brand on social justice rhetoric, but now one of their most vocal advocates had been exposed as the very thing she criticized. The irony was too much for audiences to ignore. After nearly a week of silence, ABC released a carefully worded statement. We acknowledge the concerns raised by recent discussions on The View. While we support open and honest conversations about race and history, we also recognize the importance of personal growth and understanding. We stand by our commitment to fostering dialogue that informs and educates our audience. The statement was widely ridiculed for being vague and non-committal. Critics pointed out that ABC was clearly trying to downplay the controversy without actually addressing it. Instead of taking accountability, Sunny Hostin doubled down. She appeared on several media outlets defending herself, claiming that her ancestry was irrelevant to the larger discussion of systemic racism. This isn't about me, she insisted in an interview with CNN. This is about centuries of oppression that still impact marginalized communities today. My personal background doesn't change the fact that we need reparations, equity, and justice. But the damage had already been done. Viewers saw through her attempt to deflect, and the backlash only grew stronger. The internet continued to mock her hypocrisy, and even some of her usual allies in the media hesitated to defend her. The controversy took a toll on The View's ratings. The show had already been struggling in recent years, with younger audiences tuning out in favor of more balanced discussions elsewhere. But this scandal accelerated the decline. According to Nielsen ratings, the week following the revelation saw a 15% drop in viewership, with key demographics abandoning the show. Advertisers took notice, and some quietly began pulling their sponsorships. ABC executives were now facing a real crisis. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld wasn't letting up. On his show, he dedicated multiple segments to mocking The View's predicament. He brought in experts to discuss the hypocrisy of elite media figures who push one narrative while living another. Sunny Hostin wants everyone else to atone for history. But when it's her turn, suddenly it's, "Let's move on, people," Gutfeld joked. This is the problem with The View. They want rules for thee, but not for me. His audience loved it. The ratings for Gutfeld surged, with viewers appreciating the brutal takedown of mainstream media's double standards. Behind closed doors, ABC executives were facing an existential crisis regarding The View's future. The show had long been a ratings juggernaut among daytime talk shows, but its credibility had taken a severe hit. Advertisers were hesitant, and focus groups revealed that even loyal viewers were losing patience with the constant controversies. Rumors began circulating that ABC was considering a major shakeup. Some insiders suggested that Sunny Hostin might be forced to take a temporary leave of absence. Others speculated that Joy Behar, who had been with the show for decades, might finally retire. Whoopi Goldberg, known for her past controversies, was also on shaky ground. Executives were reportedly growing tired of her frequent off-the-cuff remarks that led to backlash. Major media outlets began dissecting The View's downfall. Conservative commentators celebrated the moment as a long-overdue reckoning for the show's hypocrisy, while even some liberal pundits admitted that The View had lost credibility. A column in The Atlantic posed the question, "Has The View become a liability for ABC?" The article explored how the show had once been a groundbreaking platform for diverse perspectives, but had devolved into an echo chamber of predictable talking points. Meanwhile, the New York Times ran a piece titled, "When Cancel Culture Comes for Its Own." The article highlighted how figures like Sunny Hostin had built careers on calling out others, but were now facing scrutiny themselves. Social media was ablaze with calls for ABC to cancel The View altogether. Hashtags like "Cancel The View" and "Fire Sunny" trended on Twitter, with thousands of users expressing their frustration. "I used to watch The View every day," one user tweeted, "but I can't take the hypocrisy anymore. They preach accountability, but refuse to apply it to themselves." Conservative outlets, which had long criticized the show, called on ABC to finally pull the plug. If The View were a conservative show with this level of controversy, it would have been canceled years ago, a Fox News panelist argued. As The View struggles to recover, ABC is faced with tough decisions. Do they double down and hope the controversy blows over, or do they shake up the panel in a desperate attempt to save the show? There are whispers that ABC is considering bringing in a conservative co-host to balance out the panel. Names like Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens have been floated, though it's unclear if either would even be interested in joining the embattled show. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld and other critics are watching closely, ready to pounce on any further missteps. One thing is clear: The View will never be the same after this scandal. Whether it survives or collapses under the weight of its own hypocrisy remains to be seen. If you like this video, then thumbs up, also subscribe this channel.